Hi gang, Denise here. This is Ask Denise, and Alice has asked me a question. She wanted me to explain proximal hamstring tendinopathy and how do you avoid that issue, and how do you cue and whatnot in warm-ups so that that's less likely to happen. So what is tendinopathy? Number one, it's a kind of an umbrella term for anything from tendinitis, so inflammation of the tendon itself. What tendon? The hamstring tendon. And generally it's this end of the hamstring. So we know the hamstrings are attached to this bony ridge here. And then they split up. They come down to the medial knee and the lateral knee. So this is usually where you're going to have tendinopathy. Usually, especially in yoga. This is very, very typical. So tendinopathy, as I said, could be tendinitis, inflammation of this end of the tendon, or it could be the surrounding tissue, or tendinopathy could just mean there's like some broken fibers. So there's something going on, an inflammatory response for sure, but also possibly some tissue damage or just quite a lot of irritation, okay, of that tendon. You can find your own hamstring tendon by just feeling for your sitting bone. We can feel that bone pretty prominently, and then if you just move your leg into extension right away, that tendon should pop up quite thickly. It's so big and thick it feels like a bone. So when we start to damage that's usually requires quite a lot of repetition. And tendons in general, they dislike compression. They actually are designed to handle pull, So pulling forces on a tendon, that's what they're designed for. They're usually okay with that, but they don't like compression. So if they're getting bent and then compressed against the bone, like we see in a forward fold, for instance, especially a forward fold where there's leverage, where we're like pulling ourselves into it, that's going to cause compression. So if we want to think about how we would warm up the hamstrings without causing compression, to me the most ideal thing is to once again activate our lateral lines by creating that energy that dials out. It's like we're trying to spread the feet apart, but we don't. We just highlight and activate our lateral lines. So that already is going to transmit tension across the sacrotuberous ligament actually to the opposite side of the body. So there's not so much tension right there at the hamstring tendon. Okay, so that already dissipates some of that compressive force. So that's number one. Then the other thing is when we're going up and down doing half sun salutations and then transitioning to full sun salutation, we keep the knees bent. Okay, we just don't need to be putting so much tension through the hamstrings and compressing the hamstring tendon. So that means we would, inhale up, come forward and down with a little bit of a knee bend, come into our half lift with a little knee bend, folding forward again, and then powering up from there. So Alice was wondering about, warming up the hamstrings. Bending and straightening the knees warms up the hamstrings. Okay, so if you're going up and down numerous times in the sun salutation, that's going to warm up the hamstring. Absolutely. Do it with knees bent so there's less compression on the hamstring. And then the other thing we want to do is actually use the hamstring for in strength postures. So, when you're doing, say, a lunge pose, even with the knee down, you sink your foot down and tug it back toward the body. So this is generally how I would teach it too. I would press down into my foot and then tug back. So I'm getting some more activation in my hamstrings here. Other poses where we're using hamstrings are any single leg balancing. That's really great strengthening for hamstrings. And you can see that because I'm not folding forward at that time, I'm actually strengthening my hamstrings in quite a neutral position. So that avoids compression as well. But especially the bending of the knees is going to be really helpful, Alice. And do strong postures, no stretching really at the beginning of a practice. It's movement, it's contraction, and really warming up muscles. That's what needs to happen. Okay, so maybe if you understand the compression as the problem, that's going to help you make better decisions in your sequencing. All right, hope that helps. Thanks for asking the question, Allison. And hey guys, I really do invite more questions and problems to solve, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.